Happy New Year! Here at PWC, we have a tradition of looking back at our favorite shows from the previous year. We really enjoy bringing you important messages about news, events, and other information to help you save money and understand what goes on with your hometown utility. The votes have been tallied, and these are the best shows of 2018. First up, we have a PWC 101, where we learn more about water quality and the water treatment process.
We have two water plants. One is located on Glenville Lake off of Filter Plant Drive, and they get our water from Glenville Lake. And we have the Hoffer plant, which is off of Ramsey Street, and that water comes from the Cape Fear River. Our plants use what's known as conventional water treatment. We take the water out of the river, we bring it into the plant, we coagulate any suspended material that might be in the water. The water's then settles. At that point, we use powdered activated carbon to prevent any kind of taste and odor problems. The water is then filtered through a sand and anthracite filter. At that point, we adjust the pH and alkalinity levels to make sure there's no corrosion once the water gets into the distribution system. Then we disinfect that water and send it out into the distribution system. We also add fluoride to protect public health by preventing tooth decay, which is a standard practice for most all utilities in the United States. PWC runs about 118,000 tests a year on our water. We test for things, some of the more common things would be pH, chlorine, fluoride, turbidity, color. Those are the kind of things we test on a regular basis. We also test for inorganics, which are things like cadmium, chromium, copper, nickel, lead, zinc. We test for organic substances, which are more the man-made type chemical compounds like dioxane or some of your petroleum, hydrocarbon type compounds. We test for disinfection byproducts. We do a lot of bacteriological testing out in the system. So we have folks out in the system collecting water samples from over 100 sample sites in our distribution system on a regular basis. So testing our drinking water is important because it's a way of verifying that the plants and the processes that we have in place are working to protect public health and to make sure that our water is in compliance with all state and federal regulations. So I know there's been a lot of talk in the news lately about Gen X, but that facility discharges downstream from our intake, so it's not in our water, and the state has done a lot of testing that's verified it's not found upstream of that facility, and it's not in our drinking water. We've all heard in the news also a little bit about 1,4-dioxane, and I would just say, up front, it's an issue that needs to be addressed, and it needs addressing sooner rather than later. And we've been working with the state regulators to find a solution to get that removed from our source water. The thing we need to remember about dioxane, first of all, is that it's a long-term exposure risk. It's not a short-term risk. The human health criteria that's been published by EPA is based on an individual drinking 2 liters of water a day for 70 years. And at the levels we're seeing in our water, that comes out to a less than 1 in 100,000 chance of developing any kind of health risk over a lifetime of exposure. I think the other thing that's important is that we sort of put that in perspective. If you ride or drive in a vehicle, your lifetime odds of being killed in a motor vehicle crash are about 1 in 600. And then you've got to consider too, it's a lifetime exposure, and we don't anticipate this being in our water anywhere near that long. We expect a solution, in the next couple years. And I'm proud to be employed at PWC, and I'm proud of the work we do to protect our water and to provide safe, clean water to our customers. And here again, I drink the water every day, and I feel very safe and confident that the product we provide is a good quality product.
Next, we have a wonderful segment about the Lineman Rodeo. Enjoy.
The APPA Line Workers Rodeo is a yearly event sponsored by the American Public Power Association, where they bring together municipalities from across the United States and actually outside of the United States to come in and compete in what the guys' actual crafts are, which is to do line work in different events, usually 5 different events, split up for journeymen and apprentices. And so this year it's going to be in Raleigh, so we're going to see all of the municipalities across the U.S. come in, and they're going to all bring their teams to compete here in Raleigh in April. There's different sets of poles set up for a bunch of different events, actually. So they'll see different things going on at once. You'll see hurt man rescue, you'll see cross-arm changeouts, you'll see a bunch of different typical things that the line workers do in what they do in their job, set up at different locations throughout the field where they're actually competing. NCAMES is our local intrastate rodeo. So for NCAMES, you would just see teams that are coming from the utilities within North Carolina. And so as opposed to the APPA, which is an international event, that's our statewide event. So it's important for the guys to practice this because this is their craft. And actually, through practicing what they do, they become better at understanding the safety aspects of what they're doing, and they also are better at perfecting what they do out in the field. It benefits the customer in that our employees work safer, and they're also more efficient, and they're more practiced at what their craft is. So that it definitely is a benefit to them. As an officer at the utility, to see the guys go out and compete and that they've put in the time to practice and go out and compete against other utilities from across the U.S., it's a very proud moment, especially, whether they win or lose, it's great to see them put that effort into wanting to do that action and compete.
I like competing in the rodeo to be competitive, to try to prove that I can do better in the events on the rodeo against other people, see where I compare in my years of experience versus other people. My favorite event will probably be Hurt Man Rescue because it's the quickest event. I ain't got to be up there long. You're up and you're down. The fastest time I have on record in APPA rodeo is a minute and 30 seconds. It starts out, you got a man down, man's been injured, working up on the pole. You throw your gear on as quick as you can. You climb up to him, unhook your hand line. You wrap it around him and throw it around the arm, tie him up in a knot, send him down to the ground where, in a real world situation, somebody would be down there to try to give him CPR or maybe have 911 on the way or something like that. What we're doing in the rodeo is actually real life situations. Even though most of the time in the real world we're doing it in a bucket, if you can do it off hooks, you can definitely do it in a bucket. But tying in phases, changing out cross arms, installing insulators, all that stuff, that's stuff that we do on a daily basis. And by doing it in the rodeo, you learn how to do it fast. So when you go out there in the real world and you're doing it, it don't take you all day to do a 10-minute job. I'm very excited about competing in the rodeo. I can't wait for the day to get here.
I'm competing in the journeyman events this year at the APPA National Lineman's Rodeo. Well, in the apprentice competition, you compete solely, so you're by yourself competing and working and do your events. In the journeyman, you have to work as a team. There's me and one other Class A lineman and one groundman helping us compete our events to get them done. I competed in the apprenticeship rodeo for 2 years, and this is my first year as a journeyman. It's a little nerve-wracking. I mean, it's my first year, I'm trying to do good, make PWC look good, and then you got all these people looking at you and stuff, and I have to worry about somebody else, working with me. I'm looking forward to the Hurt Man. That's always been one of my favorite events, and I think that relies a lot on our work too, because you have to be ready at any given time if anything happens. There's usually about 50 journeyman teams competing in this same event, and it's all competing about who gets the fastest time. And you have to do it as safe as possible, which counts as most importantly as well. And it's a race to who gets done first. The morning of the rodeo, I feel like throwing up. because you got everybody from PWC come down here to support you. Engineers, staff workers, co-workers. And on top of that, since it's local this year, my family's gonna be there. My first year as a journeyman lineman, so I mean, my heart's gonna burst the first morning. Somebody's gonna have to give me CPR. It's honestly like a brotherhood, you know? Even though we're out there competing and stuff, that's my, brother in line work, you know? We have special connections. I mean, I've made friends with guys past rodeos. I've talked to guys from Tennessee, Oklahoma, Minnesota, San Antonio, Florida. I got friends everywhere I still stay in contact with. I might hit them during competition day, but when we get together as banquet, just like old family, getting back together like a reunion. I'm proud to compete on the rodeo team because I love the line of work I do. And also I love PWC, the company I work for. So for me to go out there and compete and represent them, that's a great honor, that's a great title for me.
At Fayetteville's Public Works Commission, people make the difference.
My name's Chris, and I'm a lineman at PWC.
Chris and his colleagues help make PWC one of the most reliable power providers in the nation. As a local public power company, PWC can provide faster emergency response. With system upgrades and continuous maintenance, they ensure the excellent everyday service. And their rates are among the lowest in the state. For tips on conserving power, visit PWC's website.
We covered many topics in the How Does It Work segments. The number one was all about heat pumps. Pay close attention, as this could save you some money during the heating season.
As the weather gets cool, we start to get loads and loads of calls from people wanting to know exactly what to do with their systems to make sure they're ready for the winter. We get the same calls repeatedly over and over and over. Typically, when people call for the winter, they're wondering what to do with their heat. First question is, what type of heat do you have? Do you have a heat pump? Heat pumps is what we usually have in this area, okay? A heat pump just means that we heat and we cool with Freon. Okay? So people make the mistake and think that I have a problem with the air conditioner. It's okay. Heating season is here. No, if the air conditioner is broken, the heat's not going to heat properly either. Okay? So we need Freon to heat and cool with the heat pump. That heat pump can be split or it can be packaged, and you need to know the difference so that you understand what to do. If it's split, that means it's split into two pieces. One piece is in the yard. We all look at that and say, that's my air conditioner. And then the other piece is either in the attic or under the house or in a closet somewhere. That means it's split in two pieces. Otherwise, it's a big, huge box that sits in the yard and everything's packaged in one box, okay? The heat and the air is all in one box. Heat pump takes the outside air and heats and cools it and recirculates it inside the house. That's the way a heat pump works, okay? So it needs to pull that air in. Everything needs to breathe. Coils need to be clean. Need to be serviced to make sure air flows properly. The system heats that air or cools it, throws it inside the house, okay? The return, the place where we put the filter. People don't understand that all the air in the house is returned to the system through that one spot. Once the air is returned back to the system, it's heated and cooled again and sent back into the house. If it doesn't breathe, if the filters aren't clean, the air doesn't flow properly. When the air doesn't flow, the motor doesn't turn. Motors burn out, okay? So we need to make sure that the air flows. And when we do that, we need to change filters every 30 days. The cheap filters, the little 50-cent filters, are perfect. If you are planning to be gone for the holidays and you're trying to determine how you should set that thermostat, it really does depend on how long you're going to be gone. If you're only going to be gone for a day or a couple of days, you don't need to turn it down but a few degrees, okay? Because again, everything in the house has to get warm. Okay? It takes twice as long to warm it all up. If you're going to be gone for a week, or going to be gone for 2 weeks, you can turn it down considerably lower, but you still don't want to turn it down too low because we don't want the pipes in the house to freeze. We get a lot of questions about whether it's efficient to use a programmable thermostat. And it is if you let the thermostat do its job. What we find is that most people don't let the thermostat do its job. They'll buy a programmable thermostat, but they still want to control it. Programmable is designed to be efficient so that it will come on and go off at certain times of day. But again, people play with the thermostat. If you set it properly, it'll treat you good. Now that the weather's turning cool, there are some things that we need to understand that we should do and some things that we should not do. Never, ever, ever, ever. So let's cover what we shouldn't do first, okay? Don't play with the thermostat. Taboo. Do not play with the thermostat, okay? Don't close off the vents, all right? Don't block the return. These are taboo. Do not turn the system off when you leave during the day. And do not compare your utility bill for December of this year to December of last year. All depends on the weather, what's happening, okay? Now that we know what not to do, because those are the things that are going to get us in trouble, let's figure out what we should be doing. First thing, key, filters. Always, always, always keep the filters clean. Let's just change it at the beginning of the month. Some say we'll change it when we pay the utility bill. How about we say it's a new month, let's get us a new filter. System needs to be serviced. That is key. It really does need to be serviced every year. Once it gets 2 years old, it needs to be serviced every summer to make sure that the coils and the freon levels are good, to make sure it's ready for the hot weather. And it needs to be serviced every winter to make sure that that freon level is still good and that the heat strips are ready to handle it in an emergency situation. Next on the list, we want to make sure that if you have a crawl space, make sure that the crawl space is secured properly to keep mice, raccoons, family pets, anything that could get up under the house to use their claws to cut a hole in the duct. One thing that we really need to remember about a heat pump when we have extreme cold weather is that it's not an oven. When we want the oven to give us more heat, we turn it to 325. If we need to cook faster and we want more heat, we turn it to 400. That's not good enough, we turn it to 425 and we get more heat. Heat pump doesn't work that way. It doesn't matter how high you push the thermostat, you're only going to get so much heat out of the vents. When the time comes where you have questions in reference to your heating and air conditioning system, especially during the heating season, just give PWC a call. Their customer service has all of the answers that you need. And that's how it works.
We found out that disposable wipes are not really disposable in this informative segment we called Keep Wipes Out of the Pipes.
Never flush a baby wipe down the toilet. Baby wipes, they say they're disposable, but no baby wipe or any kind of wipes like that are disposable. They are made up of materials and plastic fibrous materials, so they really don't dissolve as quick as they say they do, and they cause havoc in the sewer system and the collection system, which in turn, when it goes through the regular gravity system, it in turn gives us problems here at lift stations, plants, and manholes. There is no difference between disposable and flushable wipes. They are all the same, and you should never, ever flush anything like that down into the sewer system. Some of the challenges, just one part would be with the lift stations. They drive our repair cost up on pumps. They lock up pumps, motors. Our cleaning of the sewer lift stations has increased over the years due to the collection of the grease and the baby wipes all congealing together. It's causing havoc in our system, not just lift stations, but at the plants, because they'll pass the bar screens and get into the plant, the treatment process at the reclamation facility, and they could possibly make a blockage in the sewer line and cause an SSO, which is a sanitary sewer overflow, and we don't want that to happen. So if people can never flush them, it would be great. A fatberg is what we refer to as fog, which is fat, oils, and grease with the collection of feminine hygiene products, other rags and materials that's flushed down the sewer system, and they can gel into a big glob and block sewer lines, clog up wet wells, clog pumps, suction lines, and they cause havoc in the system. And we have a sewer overflow. It could be on a golf course, it could be in the neighborhood, and if you flush these flushable wipes, it causes lift stations to overflow, and potentially your house, your neighbor's house, your mother's house. Nobody really wants sewer in their house or on the ground or in a waterway. When people flush these disposable and flushable wipes, they think they magically disappear, and they don't. They collect into the system, and like I said earlier, it causes havoc. Best practices for a customer to avoid clogging the system, use disposable wipes. Don't flush them. Put them in a waste basket, in a trash bag, and put them in the solid waste. That way they can go to the landfill and dispose of properly and not in the system causing problems in the sewer system. Everybody needs to protect the environment. If you flush it, you're endangering the environment of a sanitary sewer overflow potentially, backing up in your mother's house, your mother's house, your neighbor's house, and you can cause people to have to come to work when they don't need to come to work. I mean, all this drives costs for different things, and we really don't want to drive cost up. We're trying to do it the best we can at the minimum. The only thing people should flush is human waste and toilet paper. Keep wipes out the pipes.
Safety is always an important topic at your hometown utility. We spoke with an expert from the National Weather Service about lightning, and that segment is one of the best for 2018.
Lightning is incredibly dangerous. You know, it's one strike and you're out. There's really, there's no time to waste. When you hear thunder or see lightning, you have to move and take action immediately for protection. Now, certainly there's some places that probably can add a little bit of increased chance that you might be struck, like being near water or being near tall objects or being under a tree. Those are the main things that can probably heighten, but really any place outside is susceptible to lightning. So really, the moment you hear thunder or see lightning, get inside an enclosed building. A picnic shelter, a pavilion, a tent, a baseball or softball dugout, those do not offer adequate lightning protection. They might keep you dry from rain, but they don't offer adequate lightning protection. You have to be in an enclosed building. If there's no enclosed building available, a good alternative is your car. As long as your car is not a convertible, as long as your car has a metal roof, that's fine. So once you do move indoors for your safety, then it's important to practice indoor lightning safety practices as well. So for example, you don't want to take a shower or a bath when there's lightning occurring outside, because water is a conductor of electricity. If by some chance lightning were to strike the water source moving into your home or your school or building or whatever business, it could electrify the water. So avoid water. Don't take a shower. Don't take a bath. Don't wash your hands while there's lightning. Also, stay away from windows. Just sort of unplug sensitive electronics if you have time. Most people have cordless phones or cell phones that they're using, but the folks who still have the corded phones, you don't want to be using a corded telephone during lightning. The first step in lightning safety is knowing that there's a risk for storms during the later part of the day. So the best thing to do is every morning when you get up, check the forecast. Check a reputable, trusted source for weather information, like the National Weather Service, weather.gov, or your favorite local TV person or national TV weathercaster. Just make sure you get your weather forecast every day, especially if you have outdoor activities. Check that forecast. If there is thunder in the forecast for later in the day and you have outdoor activities, just plan around that. Don't venture too far from a place of safety just in case a storm does happen upon you. So, and then once you are outside doing your outdoor activities, if a storm does approach and develop, the moment you see lightning or the moment you hear thunder, you are within range of being struck. So that's the best detector. The best detector for lightning danger is your eyes and your ears hearing thunder or seeing lightning. The moment you hear it or the moment you see it, get inside. Don't just immediately go back outside after the storm is over. Wait at least 30 minutes after the last sound of thunder before you resume outdoor activities. And the reason that's important is because as a storm is departing, lightning can reach back to places the storm had come from, up to 15 miles away from the storm. So, certainly, the rain may end and the sky may even begin to clear up, but if that storm is still within 15 miles, lightning can still reach back to where it had come from and strike. So I also want to remind folks that, North Carolina ranks seven out of 50 states. We're the seventh. We rank number 7 in lightning fatalities. So, North Carolina can definitely see a lot of dangerous thunderstorms with lightning that have caused quite a few fatalities over the last several years. So we need to take this to heart, we need to learn it, and we need to practice it. So when those storms come upon us, we know what to do. And it's real simple. Check the forecast in the morning, be aware and be wise to risk for storms later in the day. And then if you have outdoor activities and there's a chance for storms in the forecast, be ready. Identify those sheltering locations. The moment you get to your place of outdoor activities, look around. See where those enclosed buildings are. And then also make a note that if there are no enclosed buildings to seek shelter, then my place of safety is my car. And then implement that when the storms occur.
Finally, we look once more at time of use rates, as described by PWC CEO and General Manager David Trago. If you understand time of use and put it to work for you, you will be able to save money year-round on your electric bill.
Our commissioners recently voted that in May of 2019, PWC will start having time of use rates for our residential and small commercial customers. PWC, like a lot of other utilities in the United States, we buy electricity on the open market. And in that open market, there are times when electricity is more expensive, and that's obviously when it's peak times, like when it's really hot or it's really cold in the wintertime. And then there are other periods of time where electricity costs less. So our commissioners decided to switch our rates to more reflect how the market operates and allow customers to make some simple changes where they could save money on their electric bill by changing, for example, like when they do their laundry or when they run their dishwasher. So there's a lot of things that customers can do. It's called time of use rates. So basically there will be a period in the summertime where we will have an on-peak period when electricity costs us more money. And in the wintertime, it will be in the morning time when electricity costs us more money. So basically there'll be roughly about a 30% difference between customers, what they will pay during the on-peak and off-peak times. So there can be some considerable savings for customers who can shift usage to the off-peak times. If you take a look at the rate that we're currently charging our customers, when time of use rates come into play, for 20 hours of the day, the rate will actually be lower than what they're paying today. For 4 hours of the day, it will be higher. So there's quite an opportunity for customers to save money if they can just put as much electric usage in those 20 hours that it will actually cost them less. Well, a lot of customers in our area may not have a programmable thermostat. That's probably the easiest way for customers to save money. If during the peak periods they set their thermostat lower by 2 or 3 degrees, which is not a whole lot, they can obviously save a lot of money during that period of time because they'll be using less electricity when it costs PWC more and thus when it costs them more. And if they shift that usage to when it costs less, they can obviously save monies on their bill every single month. We're going to have a number of educational programs for our customers. We're going to be introducing a new portal on our website where we're going to have some added features that our customers can access. We are going to be doing advertising. We're going to be doing a lot of seminars. We're going to be at the home shows and places like that where we're going to have information for our customers so they can make informed decisions on how they use their energy and how they could save money on the new time of use rates. Customers can do some simple things now in anticipation of the time of use rates. Like I said, they can go and get a programmable thermostat and program it. We have information out there, and we will be getting more information out there, like when the peak times are, so they can use the thermostat over the next couple of months to kind of see what's comfortable for them and their family, but also maximize the savings for them. The number 3 user of electricity in a lot of homes is a dryer. So if they change when they dry their clothes from the on-peak time to the off-peak time, they can actually save 30% by making that simple little change. So there are things that they can do, and this will be part of our education campaign, to tell customers how they can make those simple changes and what an impact it will have on their bill. Obviously, we're going to work with our customers. We're going to get educational materials out there, so when the change does happen, they'll be fully informed and that they'll be able to take actions to hopefully save money on their bill and save PWC money on our bill that we have to pay Duke.
Thanks for watching the best of 2018. We look forward to bringing you even more informative shows in 2019. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you next time.